Hi friends, welcome back to my channel for another week in my kitchen. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Maddie, and on this channel I show you everything I get up to in my kitchen as an Aussie mum on a budget. Now, I'm really looking forward to showing you this week in my kitchen. I've got a heap of really yummy recipes. I'm trying a few new recipes this week. And on this night, Monday night, I'm cooking jalapeno popper stuffed chicken from Recipe Tin Eats. If you know me, you know that I am a huge Recipe Tin Eats fan, but it was a friend of mine who also loves her recipes that has recommended this recipe a few times to me, so I had to give it a go, and it was really yummy. So yes, tonight is a new recipe that I'm trying. I've also got something really special to share with you in this video. I wasn't expecting to capture it, but I did. So I'll get back to that. But in this video, you'll notice that I'm not talking to the camera. I'm doing a lot of voiceover. I'm here in the future talking to you. And the reason for that is we had a really busy week, and Lola's been loving lately the little play area we've got set up in front of the kitchen. So myself or Ben are always, is always in there with her. And it just happened to be that this week she was in that little play area with Ben. So she was making all of the beautiful noises that 11-month-olds do while she was playing, and I was having a chat with Ben. So wasn't able to chat with you in real time, although I do prefer to do that. I am so happy though that I obviously still filmed, because I caught something really, really special. I caught my reaction and Ben's reaction to our daughter taking her very first steps. I am just so grateful that we got to see it, and it didn't happen at daycare, because she is at daycare 3 days a week. But not only were we able to see it, we both saw it. So I just happened to look up and she took her first steps. Neither myself or my partner were expecting it. She's been standing up for months now, but we didn't think she was quite ready to take that first step yet, literally. But she did, and it's coming up here very soon on this night. So I hope you enjoy watching it and it brings you a little bit of joy, because it is such a special moment. But anywho, what I'm doing is I've just chopped up all of the potatoes. We were going to have this chicken with some mashed potato, which I haven't made in, feels like forever. And then I also made the last minute decision to cook some rice to have with the chicken. And I saw that Recipe Tin Eats recommended with this chicken a spiced buttery rice. So I followed her recipe for that. It was delicious. As always, I'll link all the recipes down below in the description. The only thing I wish I did a little bit different with this recipe was everything was quite creamy and buttery, between the chicken having a cream cheese jalapeno stuffing to like a creamy mash, and also a creamy, buttery rice. It was delicious, but next time I make this, I'll definitely pair it with just some baked fries and some greens. I'll probably pan fry some broccolini or something like that. I think that would pair a little bit better with the rich chicken. So there you have it, our daughter taking her first steps over there in front of me, and we both got to see it. So special, except as you could hear and see, we had quite a reaction to it that it did scare poor Lola a little bit because we were just so excited. But anyways, such a special night. Definitely never going to forget it, and I love that we've got our reactions on video. Anyway, carrying on here with the rest of dinner, I'm just getting everything ready for the stuffing. So 60 grams of cream cheese. I actually went ahead and doubled this recipe because I defrosted the bulk pack of chicken breast. I haven't actually cooked with chicken breast in a very long time. I did say it in my grocery haul, which if you haven't seen, I'll link to my April grocery haul. I do one big monthly grocery haul, including a fortnightly fruit and veg shop, sort of fruit and veg shop in the middle of the month, and I try to stick to just one top-up shop as well in the middle of the month. I digress. I bought a big bulk pack of chicken breast because my friend did warn me you'll have a lot of cream cheese left over because you only use 60 grams. So I thought I would double it, use half the block of cream cheese, and then it's a perfect kind of lunch option as well. So for the stuffing, I had 120 grams of cream cheese, keeping in mind this is a doubled recipe, 1 cup of what's supposed to be mozzarella or other cheese, so I'm using tasty cheese, half a cup of parmesan, didn't use quite that much, 2 jalapeños, so I'm using 4 jalapeños, and then a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of black pepper, and a teaspoon of salt. I don't think I put quite that much in, but as simple as that. You just chop up the peppers, or the jalapeños, and mix it all together. Instead of using garlic powder, I've got, which I'm so excited about, Australian crushed garlic that I've bought in a little tub. If you've been following along on my channel since the beginning, you would know that I talk a lot about the garlic that I use. I find that if I have pre-chopped garlic, that it just makes dinner a lot quicker. I've also done a lot of pre-chopped onions before as well, but I always go back to my pre-chopped garlic. I don't like to buy it though from the shops because it's all imported garlic, and I prefer to have Aussie garlic. So I have previously sourced a bulk amount of garlic from a local garlic grower, but the process of taking the skin off, processing it, and freezing it into little portions, it is a few days. It takes a few days to do, especially if you've got a kid. So I did a little bit of a search and I found this Grange garlic. It is, like I said, an Australian product. I was a bit skeptical though to see if it, still has the flavour of like freshly minced garlic, and it does. So I went ahead and I bought myself 2 of their little 360 gram tubs of it. I emailed them and they do have a 12-month shelf life unopened. So I got 2, one's in the cupboard and one's in the fridge. I don't expect that they're going to last me more than a few months, maybe 3 or 4 months. Max. So that's what I use there out of the little tub. I just got a little bit of paprika out, and this is just to put on either side of the chicken breast before you pan fry it and then put it in the oven. So like always, I'm really horrible at getting my frozen meat out with enough time to defrost. I only got it out mid-afternoon for dinner on this night, and it's a large pack of chicken. It felt as though it had defrosted. I like to do the cold water defrost method on it, which is just put the meat in cold water to defrost. But the outside 2 chicken breasts were quite soft. The middle 2, which were obviously insulated from the outer 2, they weren't quite soft enough yet to stuff, because you cut a little slot in one side of the chicken breast, and then you're supposed to stuff it with quite a bit of stuffing, and if it's frozen you just can't stuff it properly. So I went ahead and I stuffed the 2 outer chicken breasts, and then I popped the other 2 in the microwave just to do a bit of a slow defrost on it in there while I got the other two starting, and I popped them in the oven as well. So I'm getting my rice on to cook. I realize I usually just cook my rice the like pasta method, but following this buttery seasoned rice from Recipe Tin Eats, you measure out the rice to the water quantities. So anyways, I worked around that to make sure I got the right amount of water in it, because you cook it and it fluffs up at the end and you don't have to drain any water off it because you add the seasonings into the water. So for this rice, I use 2 cups of white rice, 3 1/4 cups of water. The recipe calls for chicken powder, so instead I used the rest of my chicken bone broth that I had in the fridge, which was perfect. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder and paprika, 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, which we're completely out of. I'll have to buy it next month or when I go to the shops in the middle of this month. The recipe also calls for dried parsley, but it is optional, it says, and we don't have that in our spice cabinet, and some salt and pepper. And then at the end you stir through 3 tablespoons of butter. This is such a good little side. I could see myself having this, like doing a bulk prep of it. I know you're not supposed to keep rice in the fridge for too long, but maybe making 1.5 servings of this rice with a dinner, and then having it for the next few days for lunch with some tuna and some veggies. Really, really great. So I'll be saving this recipe for sure to my favorites. I took the chicken out to take out the two breasts that had been in longer than the other two breasts. I don't know the exact time because I tend to not rely on recipe times when I'm cooking, especially chicken in the oven. I just check it every now and then to see how it's going. Anyways, I take the two smaller chicken breasts out that I cooked first, thinking I was going to have to put the other two in the oven, but they were all cooked, which was great. And I don't know if it's the chicken that I got this month, but the reason I haven't previously cooked with like chicken breast month much over the last few years, if at all over the last 3 or 4, 5 years, is because my experience is chicken breast tends to go dry, whereas chicken thigh doesn't go dry as easily on me. So I didn't have the highest hopes that, you know, baking this chicken in the oven for a bit longer than you would if you were pan frying it would mean that it would be less dry. Anyways, the chicken wasn't dry at all. It was really, really tender, and all of the chicken breasts that I've cooked with this month has been so tender. The next dinner on the next night that I'm about to show you again, stir frying this chicken breast, it was so tender, so a really pleasant surprise. Moving on here to Tuesday night, I am making another recipe, Tin Eats recipe, Thai cashew chicken stir fry. I've made this once before, over a year ago, and I have it saved to my favorites in my phone. It's how I kind of keep track of recipes that I really like. I save them to this folder on my phone, so if I need some inspiration, I'll go through that folder, and this is one recipe I pulled out for this month. So it is a super, super simple stir fry with obviously chicken. Again, using this chicken breast, it turned out so tender, which was such a surprise. But anywho, I am not complaining. So for the sauce, it is 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. Again, I did double this recipe. So 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of fish sauce, and 2 tablespoons of white sugar, and 6 tablespoons of water. The recipe calls for half an onion, 1 garlic clove, half a cup of raw cashews, 200 grams of chicken thighs, and 2 green onions, which are shallots that she's referring to, and half a red cayenne pepper. I've never cooked with cayenne peppers before, but anyways, I adjusted this recipe to include some veggies. So I had some capsicums that I had to use up in the fridge, so I sliced one of those up, and I also thinly sliced some carrot that also had to be used up in the fridge. So really great way. I feel like stir fries in general are really great ways to use up any vegetables that you have lying around in the fridge. And I still felt as though I had plenty of sauce, including the vegetables, into this recipe. So a really, really great hit. I'm going to be cooking this recipe definitely more than once a year going forward. This is probably going to be, once a month, once every 2 months, because it is just so yummy. I forgot how good it is. So I diced up everything else that I needed for this stir fry, and I'm going to cook the chicken. Now, I also decided, which you'll see in a little bit, I had some udon noodles, although I know they're Japanese, so it doesn't really go with, a Thai dinner, I suppose, strictly. But I had 2 packets of udon noodles in the cupboard that had been in there for so long, since before the start of the year. And I decided I was going to use them up on this night, and it was so good. Definitely going to pair this stir fry with udon noodles going forward, and they are so quick to cook. You just boil your water, pop them in and separate them for a few minutes. So they definitely tick all the boxes for me when it comes to making dinner a little bit easier. I didn't quite have enough cashews to double the recipe. I would have needed a cup, and I definitely only had, less than half a cup here, but they were still delicious, still got a good amount of them in each serving of this stir fry. But I'll be sure to buy a big packet of cashews, raw cashews, next month. It's already on my list for next month's grocery haul. I was just showing you before what this crushed ginger that I was talking about looked like, and I was smelling it because I just can't believe how lovely and strong it smells for a pre-crushed garlic that has such a long shelf life. The ingredients from memory, I don't have it in front of me right now in this moment, but I believe when I was looking at them, it was only some lemon juice and garlic. So really, really impressed with this product. I can see myself buying this product well into the future. On this night, Ben subbed in just to finish dinner off and serve us up our plates. I should also mention as well that the way that I added in the veggies is as you saw, I fried them off first and then put them aside before mixing them together at the end, just because I veered from the recipe there, and it worked out really, really nice. Made sure that nothing was overcooked because I cooked the veggies separate to the chicken, and I like to leave my veggies just that little bit crunchy, usually in stir fries. I didn't quite achieve that on this night. They were a little bit more cooked than I would have liked, but it was still such a yummy dinner. Now this next night, I'm cooking what has to be one of my top 5 favourite dinners to cook. It is so, in my opinion, underrated. The fact that it's chicken, drumsticks, and lentils, and it's a traybake. It's just, I don't even know how to begin to explain, but it is definitely one of my favourite comfort dinners that doesn't involve a whole lot of carbs. So this is Indian spiced chicken drumstick traybake. It's a taste.com.au recipe, and all it is dicing up an onion and some garlic. I'm using my pre-crushed garlic, my Grange garlic here again for this dinner, putting it in the bottom of a large tray, and I use half of the amount of chicken drumsticks. So the recipe calls for 12, I believe. I'm just having a look here. Yeah, 12 chicken drumsticks. But every time I've cooked it, which is more than 5 times now, I just use 1 packet of chicken drumsticks, so 6 or so, with the same amount of everything else. But I love how simple this dinner is and how cheap it is. Really, all it is chicken drumsticks, which are a matter of dollars prices at the moment at Woolies, so I can't go past a good chicken drumstick recipe. Lentils and crushed tomatoes. On this night we served it with rice and roti. It was such a hit. I've said it probably a million times already and I'll keep saying it. One of my favourite recipes, and so simple. All you do is put down your onion that you've diced, your garlic. I'm using the Grange garlic, so already diced for me and crushed. Pop that in, eyeball how much I need of that. I grate up the ginger, which is probably the hardest bit of this whole recipe. Pop that in, put on top of that your drumsticks with a little bit of oil, and spread the korma paste that you buy in a jar on top of the drumsticks. You bake that in the oven first to make sure the drumsticks, get cooked throughout this whole recipe. You bake that in the oven first, take it out, turn the drumsticks over, and then you add your crushed tomatoes, your lentils, and your chicken broth to make sure there's enough liquid for the lentils as they cook. Chuck it all back in the oven so it's all the one pot, and you just wait for the lentils to cook, and that's dinner. Prepping aside for what I'm about to cook, which is Lebanese stuffed pita bread with lamb mince. Something so different to what we usually make. I've made it once before last month and it was such a hit that it was one of the first things I wrote on my list for this month. For the veggie side though, I had some eggplant, zucchini and obviously sweet potato in the fridge. The eggplant was so yummy with this lamb pita. It just, eggplant always complements Mediterranean dishes, most of the time at least. So all I'm doing is just roughly dicing this up. I'm dicing up the sweet potato quite small, just being mindful that, I'm cooking it all together with that diced up zucchini. That doesn't take too long, and the eggplant doesn't take long either. So yeah, dicing it up, chucking it in the good old air fryer, spraying it with some olive oil, and I believe I put some seasonings on this night as well. I do want to look at like a glass option for this slow cooker. If there's any of you out there that have any glass slow cookers, please let me know any recommendations for a brand. Now, I am recording this voiceover now it's dawn the next morning. So yesterday at dusk, I was recording the first half of this voiceover, or the first however much you've heard until now. And you would have noticed a few bird sounds. I'm sitting out on our patio, undercover area, and it's 5:30 a.m. So you're going to hear all of the lovely bird sounds as they fly over and start their day. I hope you don't mind. I personally love the sound of birds in particular in the background of videos. But yeah, let me know. But then again, this is, the time I've got to get the voiceover done. So yeah, I'm sitting out here with my coffee and loving it. So I hope you don't mind. For the stuffing, you just need half a brown onion, some garlic, and then spices. I believe cumin, allspice, coriander, paprika, and cayenne pepper. I think there's also parsley as it's recommended, but we again don't have parsley. So mixing all of that in with the lamb. I'm actually just I've still got a few of my garlic pucks left in the freezer. I ordered the Grange garlic before I was totally out. So on this night I decided to use up what I had, or start to use up what I had in the freezer. I just used half a garlic puck because there's not a lot of garlic in this recipe. And then you just mix it all in with the mince. You cut up your pita breads like in half. You open them up and then stuff them with the filling before frying them off in the pan. It's so surprising how quickly the pita breads cook with the stuffing inside of them. They really don't take long on the pan. So this could be a really quick lunch option if you're busy, or dinner. The last time we made this recipe, we used beef mince and used all the same spices and whatnot, and it was just as good. The lamb, I suppose it's just a preference. The lamb we also enjoyed just as much. It was just different. But I think we'll probably do the lamb down the track as just something a little bit different because we cook with quite a bit of beef mince. after a long day of work, and I've had my slow cooker on all day with one of the freezer dump meals that I made a few months ago. I'll link the video down below if you're interested to see how I prepped 10 freezer dump meals for the slow cooker. So the night before, I got my beef Massaman curry dump meal out to defrost, popped it on in the morning and left it in the slow cooker all day. The great thing about this beef blade steak is you really can leave it on all day and it doesn't dry out. So thankful for my slow cooker on this evening. Paired it with our roti. We've definitely made use of roti this week, and rice. You know, before this week I was saying we hadn't cooked with rice for a while, so we got our fair share of rice in this week. And what I loved about this recipe is, you know, it makes so much. There's a lot for leftovers. You'll see here when I show you the coconut, I believe it's cream I put in it, has split a little bit, but it definitely didn't affect the taste of it at all. Next time I know now to leave the coconut product out until I have, you know, defrosted the freezer bag and I'm ready to put it in the slow cooker. You know, that doesn't add much time for me. I'll just put a little note on the bag to remember to do that. But nevertheless, such a yummy, but more importantly, easy dinner for this Friday evening. It is Saturday night and we are having good old leftovers. Heat a little bit of this up in the microwave and cook a little bit of roti. I ended up having some pan-fried broccoli with my curry this night instead of roti. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're interested to see what I eat next week, including breakfast and lunches as a busy Aussie mum on a budget, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much and I'll see you next time.